could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have two special guests, Olivia and Adriana from TC, that are going to lead us. Go ahead, kids.
Come on up, ladies.
Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Stacy Langdon. Mayor Dunbar is not in attendance tonight. In January, she was elected to the AIM Medical Trust Board of Directors, which is quite an honor. They work with the National League of Cities. She is currently attending a medical trust conference in Salt Lake City. So we'll do our best to get through the meeting tonight, but she's not on vacation, she's working. She's not with us tonight. Michaela, can you call the roll?
Absolutely. Councilor Hammer?
Here.
Councilor Thomas?
Here.
Councilor Langdon? Here. Mayor Dunbar? Councilor Asbell? Here. Councilor Maston?
Here.
Councilor Nicholson? Here. Councilor Geary?
Present.
Here again.
You know, I was trying to figure out who we were missing on the council because there was six.
I know.
Yeah, it's like, who was, oh, Stacy, she's in the mayor's seat.
Threw me off.
Like musical chairs.
Okay, our agenda tonight, is there anyone here with a public petition or a need to address the council that is currently not on the agenda? I believe we have Amber Mackey coming. Amber, if you could come up and just introduce yourself and tell us who you're here with and why you're here.
Hello, my name is Amy Mackey. First, I want to thank all of you for making the time to hear us out tonight and ask if I can make a statement that I've prepared. I'm here with kids from our school, parents from our school, a lot of support, and there's a lot more support at home. This was kind of flying by the seat of our pants last night. So anyway, as a community, we are concerned with our school board process, our district leadership, and would like to seek an elected school board. We have concerns that our teachers' voices aren't being heard. Our professional teachers aren't being included in the decision process. Major schedule changes and changes concerning IEPs. Recently, after most of the case conferences had already happened, suddenly new changes came down the pike, and most of the work that had already been done has to be redone. These changes significantly decrease the amount of time students have access to the educational care needed to help them succeed. Our own daughter, Olivia, has an IEP at TZ. I received an email from the school asking us to sign off on changes not based on our child's progress, but the district's desire to reduce services across the board. We had already had our case conference. Our daughter's teachers at that time had unanimously voiced concern the services already in her IEP may not be enough. Just weeks later, I received an email asking to cut her services almost in half and replace pull-out services with push-in services, which I can't imagine going well for a child whose IEP specifically relates to her susceptibility to distractions. I was shocked. I immediately asked her the reasons behind this sudden 180. We had recently started her on medication for ADHD and attentive disorder. I had asked if they had seen drastic improvements in such a short time, because I certainly had not. As she was started on the very lowest dosage available only a week or so prior to this email that I received. I was then informed that this had nothing to do with her individual assessment or her teacher's level of concern for her, but the principal and assistant superintendent's desire to make changes to all IEPs. These people have never been involved in our daughter's education or any of her evaluations. And quite frankly, it's called an IEP for a reason. It stands for Individual Education Plan. I was mad. And at this point, I started digging and asking questions. I had already contacted several services for help. I have been informed that they are in direct violation of Article 7, but upon further examination, I realized that this problem went much further than our own child. There are district-wide changes that need to be made. Many teachers, staff, and administrators have left the district. We are hearing about those numbers swelling every day. Is it because of our school board, our superintendent, both? Why the constant admin overturn this year? Administration turnover in every building points to a bigger issue. Teachers, staff, and administration leaving who have been here for years points to a very big issue. Parents are pulling their children out of Greencastle schools to go to smaller schools in our county for better help, and that's an issue. This district should be absolutely embarrassed by that. The one and only positive thing that I can say that I have discovered in all of this, and I talk to so many people in our community, people who widely range in background, Democrat, Republican, people in the middle, teachers, professors, factory workers, business owners, stay-at-home moms, and school employees. People from every socioeconomic background in this little town who would typically never agree on anything. But they agree on this. They want an elected school board. They want the superintendent and the administration at TZ replaced. I haven't heard one single person, not one, come to their defense. And that right there speaks volumes as well, considering so many of our children literally cried. Literally cried when TZ's former administrators left. More tears over the loss of beloved teachers and assistants more recently. And we all know it's about to get a lot worse. What we need from you is support and direction. What is the process for electing a school board? How do we make these changes? What can we as parents do to protect our children and our teachers? To be clear, this is not on the teachers or Department of Special Education in our community. They've done their best to advocate for our children. This is on the administration. Thank you for your time.
Amber, we've heard this discussion for 20 years. I mean, on and on, and we know that it is an issue that's near and dear to many of our residents here. And I don't know how the council feels, but speaking for myself, I mean, I see your points and I see it's valid because most other school boards are elected. Lori, can you come talk a little, it's a process, and we are not the ones to initiate it, it's a process.
Yeah.
I think you need someone to just take it on and start it.
Right. And it's not an easy process, it's a complicated process. I am not an education attorney. I don't represent any school boards or any groups like that. So I will tell you the basics of what I know. Since the city, they're two separate legal entities, so the city of Greencastle has no jurisdiction over the Greencastle School Corporation. It's because Greencastle School Corporation is made up of Greencastle Township, Greencastle, the city jurisdiction, and some other. Madison Township. Yeah, that's right. And so 3 of them. And so really, the city doesn't have any jurisdiction under the bylaws of the school corporation created back in 1964 was the last reorganization of their bylaws. It sets out how the people are appointed, the school board members are appointed. So we have to, I don't know, I don't think so. If we did, it was before 1964, but I don't think so. Somewhere in my file, I have the original, I think I have the original bylaws, but it would have been before I was born, barely. And it's been a while. So what has to happen? If I'm reading I took a quick look today to see, because they have been updated since, in 1992, I think, there was a petition that was circulated, and it went through, it went to the school, it went to the state, and the state found it to be an invalid petition and kicked it out because it wasn't done properly. So I I believe that the process is, you have to have a group and ask for a committee to be set up, and I'm not sure how that committee is set up because it goes through the circuit court of the county. That judge sets up this board, and there are all these rules. I can give you the code sites so you can take a look at them, of who is on that committee. The committee puts together a plan, and the reorganization plan, but only certain things can qualify for a reorganization, so you'll have to look at that to see if just changing it to be elected qualifies, because I didn't see that. But I, like I said, I'm not an expert in this area. Things like changing district lines and things like that, that is definitely included for a reason for reorganization. But then you go through a reorganization. After that plan that committee comes up with is passed by the committee, then it goes to the state. If the state approves it, then you have to have a petition. And as I read it, and the petition has to be signed by a lot of voters. And it's voters of the entire school district, not just in the city of Greencastle. It's the whole, it used to be 20%, I think. It's 55% now. The voters have to sign this petition.
I feel like they're enough to ever have.
And the petition, there are things that you have to have that are included in the petition, affidavits, things like that. So if you move forward, make sure that your petition is done correctly, because that's what got kicked out the last time in 1992. And then after that, then it can move forward. So it's a long process for reorganization, but your first step is to see if a reorganization qualifies under that statute. But before you leave, I will give you some code sites so you can at least start that way. You might want to consult someone who does education, law. And the city is separate, and we don't have a vote in it. We don't have anything.
If you elect members of the board.
We appoint 2 of the 5 members. Per the bylaws that was in the last reorganization. That's the only thing we do, that we can do, because the statute is very, specific about how the whole thing is, how it changes. Yeah, and yeah. So I'm sorry, but that's
No, it's a step. It's a step.
To that point, I appreciate you coming tonight, especially when we are talking about the candidates for school board at some point tonight. I think you made a really good point that people are frustrated across all spectrums. It's not political, it's not class, it's not anything. And I, before even knowing you all were coming, one of my hopes in interviewing candidates is understanding how each candidate plans to dig deeper into issues and how to make teachers and administrators feel comfortable sharing things with them. Excuse me. So I really appreciate you being here, and I encourage you and everyone here to continue to show up and to come to school, go to school board meetings as well, and voice these concerns. Because as you said, people are leaving, people are concerned, and it doesn't feel like people feel comfortable sharing why. And if people aren't comfortable, then we need to make sure there's someone figuring out why. So I appreciate you being here, and anything you need, I'm here to support you.
I appreciate that.
And I'll tell you, I think that if it was up to a vote of these 7 members, you'd probably have pretty close to unanimity on moving away from an appointed school board. But it's what we have. Township trustee has 2, so you need to pay close attention to those. The only other thing I would even remotely caution you about an elected school board is you look at any board, virtually any commission, and there's executive capture to virtually all of them. If you look at just in Putnam County, you never see, like a vote of a school board that, the superintendent puts something down and it's like 4-3 or something like that. It's virtually always 7-0. And I had one superintendent tell me years ago, we let them, because I was on the council back then and we were appointing people, and he told me, he says, we let them argue in an executive session. But when we go into the public session, it's unanimous. They have to all be behind me. And that was kind of a,
If you can't make decisions in executive session.
Yeah.
I think that has changed a good bit since then, because we had a real problem with that with one superintendent.
it was, I mean, I almost fell over, literally. But you get into that executive capture all the time, and you gotta be really careful of that, you know?
So can I ask a question? Then what is the people's rights to be able to get rid of somebody on that board?
Because we're the only ones that don't have an elected school board, correct?
I think there's
I
one.
mean, if you got,
Like 6 of them, yeah, there's like 6 of them.
That don't have an elected board. I mean,
If they're 20.
that's pretty
That's
minimal.
minimal when you consider 300 some odd school boards.
Amber, I appreciate you being a voice for teachers right now. I appreciate that so much, and I know they do too as well. So keep fighting the fight.
We will, and I know that there's a school board meeting coming up on the 20th, and we plan to attend that as well. This, honestly, we just found out about this last night, and every little step counts. We really appreciate you guys listening, and
And be sure to go to find out when the township trustees meetings are. They're open to the public as well.
now where do they hold those at?
Well,
I
I
mean,
don't know,
no, I
probably
mean-
down at the office across from the post office is where
Would
the
it be online for them to get that
a
information?
meeting day probably, but I don't know.
Okay, okay.
Amber, I'm gonna give you a name of somebody that's a good resource,
Okay,
okay? That you can feel free to call her,
thank you.
okay?
So,
Amber, thank you very much.
Thank you
Guys,
Really
very much.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys. Like I said, I mean, our kids love school right now, as you can see, as she's, you know, she loves school, she loves her teachers. I want to keep it that way. I don't want these kids to start hating to go to school, but when their teachers are leaving, when their teachers not only have already turned in notice to leave, but more and more have been telling all of us that they have plans to leave, that they can't, you know, that's a problem. That's a real problem. We love these educators, and we're already short on buses. We don't have enough bus drivers. What's going to be next? Who's going to be teaching in these classrooms when these teachers leave? Because you're not going to find anybody to replace them because nobody wants to come here. They're leaving for lesser paying jobs further away from their own home communities because of this situation. And that's just, it's just insane. So, thank you.
Another confusing part of that too is the county council votes on the school board budget.
Whatever.
That's correct. And in fact, I got I found something on that too, and when I was going back, it's strange. Yeah, because the county council is the only group that has jurisdiction over all 3 of the parts of the district. So they approve the budget, not the city.
Yeah. All we do is appoint two
That's all we do.
members.
That's all we do.
And we have them come in and report to us and stuff like that, but we don't have any.
So you would suggest that she go to the county council as well?
well,
They don't.
I think the school board's probably gonna be I think that's what's gonna be initiated.
we're just gonna rubber stamp the budget.
You want to get as many people there as
Agreed, and
possible.
but the difficult thing is, and like I said, I know a lot of people, we know a lot of people in this community, between the schools and the Girl Scouts and people that my husband has worked with for years, people in our neighborhood. I live in a neighborhood full of teachers and professors, and I mean, it is literally everybody. But the bad thing is, so many people are afraid, teachers especially, are afraid of retribution. I have heard that from their very own lips. They are afraid of retribution. They do not want to come tonight because they didn't think we were ready. They are afraid, and they want to make sure ducks in a row before they stick their necks out because they're already on the line. So I think we all need to take some steps to make them feel like, I don't know, what I don't understand is these people, they have kids in the school system. These are teachers who have children who attend our schools and don't feel like they can speak out on behalf of their own children. I don't understand that. These are parents, not just teachers. So that's a problem. That's a pretty big problem. And I think until we make them feel comfortable,
Okay, well,
they're not ready.
this is the beginning of this great long process. But, yeah, just see it through.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
He's not gonna drive.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our agenda, I think we have 4 street closures. DePaul University Juneteenth celebration, is there someone?
We have Joel from the WISC that he turned in a street closure request, but it went to our email, so he had turned it in like a week ago. We just hadn't received it, so.
But I think that makes more than, we have 3 on the agenda.
Yeah, I think Joel's here. He's here.
Yep, okay, let's start with Joel then.
Since we gathered.
First of all, apologies to the other 3 for me cutting in line.
I'd say.
Well, thanks so much for the opportunity. So, this I don't believe comes as a surprise to anyone on council that there's some construction happening downtown, and so we had a meeting with Mayor Dunbar last week when she returned from vacation and had the opportunity to talk through kind of what we could do to help. The reality is it's a tough situation for a lot of our downtown businesses. And Tosh and I are incredibly fortunate. We've got literally the best guests in the entire world and the best community in the entire world. And so people are still coming, and we've not really personally seen an impact, but we've talked to a lot of other businesses that have. So part of what we had the idea as we discussed this with the mayor was I think she maybe delicately, but just gestured to maybe a negative sentiment in the community around the construction and frustration. And so we had the idea of what if we could turn something negative into something positive. One of the things that happened, which was a big surprise to Tosh and I, is on Friday, I guess it was the 19th, when it happened, we walked outside the WISC. We've been informed that there was going to be no closure on South Jackson, so we wouldn't be impacted. We walked out midday Friday to both ends of our block having barricades. So that was a bit of a shock. And once we got over that initial shock, we thought, okay, what can we do about this? So since it's technically closed by the state, we had the idea that we would ask for a street closure during the remainder of that portion, which, as I understood it when I met with NDOT, was going to be around 40 days. And I know these things always run exactly on time, so.
You can set your watch by.
That's right. But we had the thought of what if we could turn this into something positive, and so utilize that since no traffic is allowed, and use that street to do a block party. We really had the idea to do multiple things. Again, just drawing attention to something negative, let's make it a positive. We've had several meetings with other downtown local businesses, several of which are really frustrated and struggling and feeling maybe a little unseen. And so one of the things we would like to do is actually to have a fundraiser for local downtown businesses who are being impacted by the lack of business. And so we've already met with a few that are willing to come together and donate services. Tosh and I have offered to play and do a benefit concert that would be ticketed. We could set up then a fund through the Putnam County Community Foundation that could be drawn upon by any business who's maybe having trouble paying their staff. I'm really thinking about the Putnam Inn is getting hit right now, and they're going to get hit even harder in the next phase. And in my opinion, what Chris and Rhonda have, and obviously Jane and the whole crew there, is an institution of Greencastle. It's been here 50 years. Mm-hmm. We have an obligation as a community to make sure it stays here. And so any way we can help them. So forgive the vagueness of the closure as far as dates go, because we just don't know. It's impractical that we would request you all keep it closed once the state opens it back up, right? We understand that's a thoroughfare, but while the state has it closed, it seemed like a logical time to try to do maybe something a little bit fun and bring some positive energy to downtown.
So Joel, currently, are there any tracks and dump trucks going using that to access the construction zone?
That's a great question. So I was informed by Jared, who's kind of managing the NDOT project, that cars are technically allowed to still park there, but it's soft closed through the day. They do still come up through there. So my thought would this would be an after 5 o'clock in the evening kind of thing. We wouldn't be doing anything through the day. Or if we did, it'd be on the weekend, which they aren't working either. This is maybe worth saying on record, I've had really good interaction with the construction workers. Last Saturday, I got a call, I hadn't gotten to the whisk yet, and they had lined right in front of us just with triaxle trucks, and to where our guests could park. And so when I talked to them, they're like very apologetic and immediately kind of rerouted and started staging before our block, which has been really helpful. So what that means is, even if that was happening after 5 o'clock, they have alternate means to be able to get in. Yeah.
Okay. And there is access to the parking lot for Crown, but there's access off of Walnut Street.
Exactly. So essentially that soft closure is at Walnut, so you can turn right or left. So like a lot of our guests are turning left on Walnut and then coming in behind that parking lot behind the whisk, or they can park in the city lot if they turn right on Walnut there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what you're really asking for is evenings and weekends.
Yeah, we're open Thursday through Sunday. My thought is this would probably, and just based on our schedule and not really being planned, we hadn't planned for this, just full disclosure, being honest about it. And so it would probably be like a Friday night or possibly even a Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joel, what can we be doing to help you and other business owners downtown?
Well, I love that question, selfishly, of course, and because I've had so many conversations with frustrated downtown business folks. Part of the thing, I think, if I'm being honest, I don't think anyone, and maybe this is forgive me because I'm also a pastor, so I'm going to call it a testimony. But maybe one positive to this is, I don't think anybody's mad at anybody in city government for the construction happening. We know we don't have control over that. I think where the frustration is there has been a real lack of communication, both as it happened, before it happened, and then I think it'd be really great. I don't know who, I think maybe Dave is the local councilman for this area, but man, it would mean the world if we saw people. So it'd be great if somebody came and knocked on our door and said, hey, how can we help? One of the suggestions that I gave Mayor Dunbar was, what if we did a highlight every week of a local downtown business that the city did? We put a spot in the banner. I don't know if anybody here has any connections to the banner graphic, but we could highlight a local business and maybe say, this week we're highlighting Shuey and Sons. And it gives an opportunity to say they're open, because I know right now we're doing the Greencastle's openly, which is great. But when I checked today, that page had 200 likes. So the reality is a lot of folks just don't know it's there yet. And so it'd be another way we could draw attention to what's happening downtown.
Didn't we have community meetings?
Yeah, and I know Mayor Dunbar went with Vince, I believe.
Yeah.
And walked all around the square and up
So
and down
if
Washington.
there's a lack of communication, don't quote me here, it's their own fault.
I mean, I wouldn't.
I'm going to agree to disagree, and I'm also going to try not to take offense to that, because that sounded very directed. So I was at those meetings. The plans changed.
Okay.
So the fact that South Jackson Street was not supposed to be closed, I was assured up to 2.5 weeks before the construction started. 2 weeks prior to
That wasn't our fault, was it?
can I finish? 2 weeks prior to April 19th, when this all happened, the mayor and also the downtown chamber received an updated plan that included the closures, and they did not communicate it to anyone.
Okay.
So the answer to your question is no. Now, we can't do anything about that, can we? And I think everybody's okay with that, because these things happen and they change quickly, and that's absolutely okay. But I think what we can do is learn from maybe our mistakes and take care of one another. I guess that's all we're actually asking for, is let's just take care of one another.
So there's no traffic on this section. It's closed to both areas, but there is parking.
Yeah, so technically speaking, most people don't, because you have to like drive around the barricade. So I would think we would want to put a sign up when we do the event, which we've been doing. We've got a nice big, tall, like a sandwich board, I guess is what it's called, that we would put to kind of further clarify. Or if it's a city closure, the city could of course put something there.
Are you putting like tables in the street or?
Yeah, that's my thought.
Sidewalks
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Yep. But we would want to make sure no traffic. And the nice thing is people can turn right before that to get into the parking lots. So yeah, we would want everybody to be really safe. And I would take any recommendation to make sure that happens. Yeah.
Joel, I think this is okay, but the open-ended nature of it is something that I think if you just, once you get a date and a time,
Yeah.
you call.
Yeah, I'm happy to
And
do that.
alert the mayor's office.
Sure.
And just say, hey, we think it's gonna be this Saturday from X to X. And then that way we kind of know and.
Dave, I think that's absolutely reasonable.
Police department can swing by or
Yep.
everybody can just be kind of on alert because typically, as you see in these others, it's a date and it's a time frame.
I get it.
The rest is pretty open-ended.
Yep.
But I think in terms of, look, I've watched Crawfordsville, Plainfield, all these other towns, Brazil, that had these projects, and some of those businesses never came.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is just this is the day for some of these businesses.
That's right.
And it's really a tragedy.
And
But, so, yeah, we're happy to.
Dave's that motion?
I'll make the motion, just with the interpersonal caveat that you're gonna make this call.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And would you say it's in the evenings after 5 p.m.?
They work almost till dark, and I think they're working on Saturdays, so you're just gonna kind of have to use your judgment and your
Okay,
observation.
now I'm happy to do that. We want to keep people safe, and I have a vested interest in them getting done, so I don't want to interrupt them. So if they're working, I'm going to be logical about
And then
this.
Linda can maybe talk to them when she gets back.
Sure.
Or, I think she's the one who's had all the interaction with them, and just tell them what's going on, and hey, this day's gonna happen, and don't put a line of tracks, don't do this,
And Jared's been great. He gave me a cell phone number that's kind of overseeing all that, and he's been great and really responsive to them. So I'm happy to. I'll loop in as many people as we need to. I'm happy to do that.
So maximum communication.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, any additional discussion?
I just appreciate you and your care for the community, and I loved your whole "We Rise by Lifting Others" kind of vibe, and I really appreciate you.
And I want to thank you for the fundraiser idea, and if I can support that in any way, let me know. I know Noblesville's dealing with some construction right now, and their city's actually using TIF dollars to help fund a similar project. So
Oh, wow.
I can't speak to our ability to do that, but I appreciate and want to help you personally however we can.
Yeah, I understand that the city, we're not, I don't think that anybody would suggest just a slush fund, but if we can have some really specific criteria to just try to help people. Tosh and I did something similar called the Better Together series when everything was closed for the pandemic, and that was a way, so what we did is we had businesses that were thriving that could buy lunch from local restaurants and send that to workers who were, having to work through that. So anything we can do like that is try to help. We want to do it. Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you guys, and thanks for having me again. I apologize for the miscommunication.
And you cut the line.
Yeah, cut the line. I'm for the fro.
Okay, Juneteenth celebration. Is there anyone here from Japan?
Yes. Joe, you want to stick around with me? I don't know a whole lot about the street closures. My name is Hobart Hankinson. I'm with DePaul University. I'm the executive director of the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. I graduated from DePaul in 1975, and I've been back at DePaul for the last, 3 years now. So I'm here to ask you to close. It's Indiana Street between Washington and Walnut on June 22nd, between 5 and 9 p.m. for Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States, and it's celebrated really internationally now. And we want to commemorate it. We do some things at the Center for Diversity and Inclusion on the actual federal holiday on the 19th. And then we think we can get a larger crowd, maybe between 400 and 500 people if we close the street down. And just have celebrations. We're going to have music, food, those sorts of things. It might be a way to, Joe, we might want to, maybe have people make a contribution to this fund. We can do that as well.
Are you going to have alcohol?
No.
Outside? Okay.
No.
All right, but I require a whole contract, that's what I
Okay,
asked.
yeah, no alcohol.
Rain or shine, that's our date, right?
Rain or shine, that's the day, yeah. That's the day.
I shall move.
Second?
Who's the second? Was the second?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on. Madison Hannah, Greenlight Art Festival.
Madison and Elliot are unable to attend tonight, so they just asked if they could table until next month to come for you guys.
In September, so we can do that.
Yeah,
Plenty of time.
got a couple of days in between now and then.
Okay, moving on. We have our department heads here. Any council members have any questions for our department heads?
Are we doing the list?
We just did.
That
We
was,
just did
that
that.
was Joel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How about that one?
I have a question for Greg. I think he's here. I saw him.
That was Martin in the chamber. It was separate from
Oh,
others.
gosh.
Yeah, it was confusing with both of them.
Yeah. Got it.
Can you tell us about the fishing derby?
Yes, this thing is taking on, it's just exploding all of a sudden. We're really, really excited, and primarily because people are reaching out wanting to provide prizes for the kids. Ashley's been taking phone calls all week for this event. It's Saturday, June 1st at Jason Park. It's been an annual event on the calendar for years and years. Last year, we only had 10 kids participate. We already have 10 registered for the event this year, so we anticipate a much larger event, a lot more prizes to distribute. The largest fish, smallest fish, the most fish caught, that type of thing. And if you haven't been out at JC Park recently, it is spectacular. It's clear, it's clean. It should be a great day.
June 1st, right?
June 1st,
Yes.
yes. It's right around the corner.
Thank you, Greg.
Right, my pleasure.
Anyone else have any other questions for our department heads?
Yeah, for Andrew.
Andrew,
Not here.
unable to attend tonight,
Okay.
some personal reasons.
Okay.
Or were you gonna ask about the stoplight?
Yes, I was.
Yep, so I talked to him, he said he wasn't gonna be here.
Okay.
That's-
Well, questioning about the stoplight here at Bloomington and Washington Street. It seems to never change. I suppose it does. But I've seen a lot of people, myself included, they had to turn left on red because it will never change.
He said that's an NDOT light,
Mhm.
so not one of his that he can control.
Right.
If he had to take his, educated guess from, or his professional, he believes that some wires were ripped out, so it's on a timer instead of on a sensor.
Okay.
So he thinks that because it's on a timer, it's just, if no one's coming, it's not sensing that.
Okay, because I've literally seen on more than one occasion, traffic on Bloomington Street backed up past Walnut Street.
Mhm.
And somebody's
That's
there
all
waiting for the
today.
stoplight, pardon me?
There's almost a Hannah Street today.
Okay, there, yeah, so,
It's like a Hannah.
yeah. I've seen, I've seen it as far back as Seminary.
Well, excuse me, Seminary, not Hannah.
Oh, okay, Seminary Street too. So I come up Walnut Street, and I'm not turning left, turning right, going down Walnut Street, but to Arlington Street. But it's like, there's somebody at the front just waiting and waiting and waiting, and I've sat there and waited and waited, and finally just said, heck, there's nobody coming from your left. There's nobody coming all the way to the top of the hill.
Well, still look. And the pavement is really degrading in between Walnut and Washington Street. Really bad.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
I know that right in the middle of the street, kind of on Washington, a little bit east of Bloomington as it jogs down, they came in and did a patch, and they need to do that on Bloomington Street.
Yeah, there's a couple of big stuff over there with the concrete.
Yeah, and they're going fast.
Yeah.
And that's stage 2.
Yeah, that's the state's problem too, but.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's a small request, but it would be very helpful because it's going to swell up something like.
Right, or blow somebody's tire or something, yeah. So that was one thing, I forget what the other thing was I wanted to ask about. Oh, just, you know, I guess in general, are semis and triaxles and everything, are we allowing them, or should we be allowing them on our city streets? I mean, they're told way up there, 36, and down here 40, and 40. Okay.
It's hard to tell between local traffic and not local traffic. Unless you stop everyone.
We already have a truck route, and they're
They
already
can't read.
prohibited on.
Yeah, they're coming down Franklin Street.
And it's not Franklin Street, it's not Market Street, you know.
And it's not Madison
Not
Street.
even West Walnut Street.
It's not one, yeah, but they're doing, but that, it's,
Oh, I've got a picture. Of course, I left my phone in the car, but I have a picture today of a semi on Market Street, right by the Shoey's Mattress by my old building, going southbound. Now, how do you think he did, you know, turning on the wall?
on the Wall Street.
And then wherever he went from there. You
Yeah.
know, if he tried to make a right on Jackson to get.
I beat you all to it. Like the first 5 or 6 days of April, I didn't write down the dates, but there was a triaxle stop right at the Banner Graphic. This is before there were any signs up on the barricade. And he was with the construction company. And he stopped there and they were backed up for a quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
So I was parked on Franklin Street, pointing west. I stopped my truck in the middle of the intersection and got up and knocked on his door. And he didn't know where he was supposed to go. He didn't know whether he was supposed to turn right or left. They just told him to show up with a triaxle full of stone. So I got him around to where he wanted to go. And then I called Melanie and I called the mayor, and in 24 hours we got that taken care of.
It's chewing up the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the semis are not supposed to be coming on that side of town. There's just so many of them, we can't stop them all. We don't have the manpower to position somebody there by the time they get there. We've reached out to the state police, our other law enforcement partners, and try to be on the lookout for the semis.
Have you pulled anybody over?
Have we pulled anybody over? We've stopped a bunch of people, but yeah, we don't have the manpower to.
Well, I mean, your guys have had to have seen.
Well,
If I've seen 30 or 40 of them, your guys out on the street every day have definitely seen
The
them.
problem is, when it initially started, there wasn't proper signage on every avenue to get in town. And we had several coming from the east side going all the way to Bloomington Street, where there was no actual signs to say no trucks. Once they make their local delivery to Kroger or the liquor store, they were just heading out the normal route to go to the next
Well, what I'm
stop.
seeing are not locals. You know,
Right, yeah,
these guys are talking, you know, they know how to communicate with one another, and they're saying, hey, you know, you can do this, and you can, then you don't have to go all the way to New Winchester,
Right.
you know, or whatever the route is. And so they're beating it, you know, and I guess I can understand why, but, you know,
Like I said,
we have
it's
no
getting
recourse.
better. It's getting better as the word's getting out and people are getting used to it. But like I said, a lot of them are still following their GPS, or there's a language barrier with a lot of them. We're doing what we can, but like I said, we just don't have the manpower because we got a lot of other crime going on where we can just position somebody. That's why
I would just say if the guy's out on patrol and they see J.B. Hunt on Franklin Street or on Market Street, pull him over.
Mhm. Well, right, we have to have probable cause to pull somebody over, reasonable suspicion, and like I said, we pull people over, but they're local delivery drivers, some of them, but like, we just don't have time.
Those are gonna do it anyhow. I'm talking about the little road guys, you know,
Yeah.
they're through traffic.
Right,
And a lot of triaxles that have nothing to do with the project.
right, well, yeah, the triaxles, that's a whole other ballgame, but the semi trucks, I mean, that's the one we're trying to look for, because they cause the most problems.
They cause they bottleneck problems. The triaxles, I think, do more damage to the streets.
Yeah, well, there's more of them.
Yeah, more of them than they're crazy.
But some of them are coming in because they're part of construction.
Right, that's exactly true.
So, but the semis, unless they're making deliveries to downtown.
And it's hard to determine that when you're driving through town looking for other stuff and you pass a semi, is he going downtown?
It's worth pulling a few of them over and then they will get warned out amongst themselves.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's getting better.
And you have pulled over, I know you've pulled over.
Yeah, we've stopped a few, but we can't stop them all.
I understand that. Can't see them all. You're not gonna see every speeder, you know, I mean, you
Right,
can't be
yeah.
everywhere, you know.
Yeah. I wish we had the manpower to post somebody that would help, but like I said, that's why we reached out to our other folks to help us.
Well, to that point, and I'll admit I'm still learning a lot about city finance and how these things work, but if our streets are being destroyed, wouldn't it be worth a short-term investment, finding some money for some more manpower to incentivize the trucks from coming in? If we could find some overtime pay or partner with another agency, I mean, I feel like that's going to be way more affordable than all the road damage that's happening. I don't know how that. I'm still learning. But
I still think it's incumbent upon NDOT to do a better job at 36, 40 to 240 to get them off.
Yeah, maybe give us a state trooper or two.
Yeah.
They've been
See, these
tired.
construction zones, they just park a police car out there with the lights going, and nobody's in the car.
Mhm.
And it's a slow traffic down, and they do the same thing by, absolutely no trucks. And that means no trucks. Exit now. So it's,
Can I brag on Chris for just a second?
sure.
I just want to brag about you for a minute. I've been going to, well, I've gone to one police department meeting, and boy, did they work hard. They work so hard. We have a new officer that is going to be coming on the force, but they have to go, she has to go through the academy, correct? So she has to go through the academy. We just had 9 officers that ran the mini marathon last weekend. And our police officers are doing an adopt a school program at TZ Rid Path in Deer Meadow. Can you talk about that? Our adopt a school program?
When I took over, I just wanted to make sure the officers were in the school, talking to the kids, getting to know them, having relationships with police, because a lot of times some of these kids, they see us when something bad's happening. So we wanted to go and be there and show them, hey, it's a fun time, you're at school, we're having lunch. So we started sending our day shift officers to all the schools. So they rotate every month, they go have lunch with the kids at the school, they get to know them. And we've already seen where these same kids that they're eating lunch with, they'll go to their house later on for a call. And they say, hey, I know you're at my school, and that relationship starts to get built, and it just helps everything go smoother. So it's just a good time. We're building a lot of fun friendships with all the kids.
I love that. Thank you for doing that. And that means a lot to the kids too.
Oh, yeah.
Just the kids that I've talked to in the past, they love it when you come and hang out with them at school. So,
Yeah, it recharges our batteries too.
Yeah.
Kids they're innocent, they love us, and then we deal with all this stuff out here, and then we go see the kids, and they got kind of pump us back up.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Thank you. Anything else for any department heads?
Lori, if you could follow the mayor when she comes back and see if there's anything to do with NDOT, maybe to
I will.
talk about the truck traffic.
And the stoplight.
Okay. And the stoplight.
Yes.
Stacy, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to interject, but I just want to mention when I met with Jared from NDOT, one of the challenges he pointed out was that both Google Maps, all of the maps, as well as the site that the truck drivers use that indicate what roads are open, none of them show those closures. So in fairness to the truck drivers, until they get there, they're maybe not knowing. So if are not signs, in fairness to them, they're just following the maps like the rest of us would. So maybe
They're not
that's an
following
area.
signs then. They're just ignoring the signs.
Again,
There's no truck driver.
and I was only just referencing areas where there's not signs, but yes,
There's signs
I just thought that may be an area where the
There's
city
signs
can work
everywhere,
together with
no trucks.
NDOT to get those updated. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
If you've met Mayor Dunbar, when she puts her mind to something, so hopefully she'll reach out. and
That was
get
my hope as well. To me, that'd be great. We can catch it before
Pass
it
it
becomes
on.
Chris's problem or anybody else.
Yeah, we were told
She'll
by
get it done.
Jared as well that the 511, which is the state's bidding website that they put out that the truck drivers are supposed to use for their routes, there was a lane restriction put on that should have stopped them and rerouted them, and we saw that wasn't really helping as much. So he also put on a weight restriction as well, hoping that both of those are saying you can't go this way.
Yeah.
So they have done that part.
Yep. Sorry again, I
No,
apologize.
thank
I
you,
just
Jill.
want to share.
Department heads, you're free to go. Thank you for all your hard work. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I kind of have a question tying back to the road situation.
at this stoplight, that intersection, whose responsibility is that? Is that state to the city?
States.
State. Those trucks, when it is open, I feel like I'm gonna lose my car. They patched it, and a month later, that pothole is again the size of a tire. So, I don't know who we need to reach out to.
We can put it on the list, because they've got a list, I
I
think.
just don't know if there's something, like if they could reinforce it with concrete instead of asphalt, I don't know if that's an option.
Well, that's all gonna get redone, so I don't think they'll put any concrete in it. But I've got a little car too, and it's gonna fall. I'm pretty
Yeah.
convinced of that.
I started going down
Yeah,
Franklin before the
but they
closure.
really need to come along and just do some patching to get us through this next 40 days or whatever it's supposed to be.
Houston, July.
Okay, next on the agenda is the mayor's report. Mayor Dunbar left me some things to share tonight. First Friday was very successful. We had lots of visitors from out of town. US 231 project is moving along on schedule. Water line installation continues this week and should almost be done for Washington Street. Installation of new storm sewer being installed and work on the steam tunnels downtown. And then she said, well, after that is completed, then the curb and approaches will be installed. The water project on Crescent Court and the sewer on Draper project are complete. She said the city will have to go back and fix the yards after the soil settles. Sidewalk work will be starting soon for the summer, and the repaving street bid will go out by the end of May. And Mayor Dunbar said she would like to thank everyone for their patience. It's not easy and can be frustrating, but the end results should be great. So she wanted to pass those notes along to us. And clerk treasurer,
Going.
okay. No, that's all I had, it's going to the
Is there a prognostication about College Street and Chatham Mall? When are we gonna get that intersection taken?
Oh, I think it was about a week.
That was 1 to 2 weeks.
I think it would be 2 weeks. I think you have at least one moving. That's what we heard this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Michaela, clerk treasurer report.
Yes. We had about 205 loads at Heavy Trash Day this past Saturday. So we just 205. 205. Yes. So we're just happy to see that citizens are utilizing the service that day, and it's just a fun day. Everyone's happy that day to get rid of their trash. So yeah.
Where was that posted? Because I found out about it after it was done.
Yeah. So
You get a water bill?
I do not, because my landlord pays my water bill.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, so we included it on the bottom of the water bills, and then we sent out a separate mailer, because we know quite a few people don't open their utility bills. So we sent out a separate mailer to all trash utility customers to their address. So if you're sticking around, maybe get with me after this, and we'll maybe see what happened there. We also posted it on Facebook and the newspaper. So we really did try our best to get the word out there.
Well, so like I was checking the waste management site, because that's how I found out about Tossway Day coming up this Saturday. But it wasn't posted there anywhere, so I didn't know if it was.
Nope, it's for Greencastle trash utility customers. Yeah, thanks. We will have another one this fall, I believe, so we'll make sure we get with you then. Toxaway Day is this Saturday, May 11th, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Area 30. And then we're going to be having a UTV inspection event Saturday, May 18th, from 9 a.m. to noon at the Greencastle sewer plant, which is 530 West Columbia. Open it up for additional inspections.
Kind of a mass registration and inspections.
Yes, yeah. Right now we have, we're doing inspections during the day, during the week.
By appointment.
By appointment, yep. Those have filled up very quickly. And so we're going to do a Saturday event for those that work during the week and struggle
Can you tell us how many permits have been issued so far?
Chris can chime in as well. We've
Still there, yeah.
probably done in total 40 permits in total.
Yeah, I think we did 40, we gave out the 41st permit today, maybe 41st, something like that.
41st today.
Here's the call.
Yes. Yep.
It's about the call plus 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But I believe all the appointments schedules are filled up
Filling up.
up to May 18th.
Okay, all right.
And then we'll open
And
them
we'll
up
have that May
after that
18th
as well.
mass registration inspection. Okay.
All right, thank you, Michaela. Okay, councilors' reports. Mark, you want to start on this end?
Yeah, you mentioned, I should have written it down, something about pardon me?
That's what happens when you retire.
Yeah.
Get older.
Or both. Maybe. Maybe I'll think about it in the meantime. Maybe somebody else will ask the same question.
Well, Dad told the truck and kinds of things. I went to eat at the local establishment 2 Fridays ago on the north side of the square. Came out and there was a semi-truck parked on the east side of the courthouse square pointing north with no driver. And I happened to be parked right on the northeast corner of the square, so I just stayed with my truck. And he finally showed up and I told him, I said, "Are you heading north?" And he says, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, the signs are out east of town and north of town." I said, you get in your truck and get started in 5 minutes, I'll get you out of town. So he followed me north to the Dollar General parking lot, and he says, "I'll let somebody know about this." So that's my only, that probably, I did more than my responsibilities.
Okay, you done?
Let me see the mayor.
I'm done.
Okay.
You don't mind.
Okay, in keeping with our school board theme, there are 5 members on our Greencastle school board, and we appoint 2 of them. And we received 5 school board applications for the next opening that we have, 1 incumbent and 4 others who are interested in pursuing the position. So I am thrilled that we received that much interest. And before we leave tonight, I want to look at dates, maybe first week in June, where we can set up 1 or 2 nights. Actually, I'd like to set up 2 nights to interview candidates, because I'm not sure what nights the candidates will be free. So we'll revisit that later at the end of the meeting. Yeah. So.
Stacy, I missed a couple of people I've talked to that missed the deadline, that are interested, and we're pretty good candidates.
We only had like a 2.5 week deadline, and in hindsight, perhaps, I don't know what we've done in the past, so.
Yeah, and I don't know how hard and fast it was, we just kind of tossed it out. I was wondering if we could extend it to the 24th, set our interviews up for the week or so,
First week in June.
succeeding that, and then be able to vote.
Dave, I heard you mentioning some reasons up here. What are those reasons you really want to extend
The reasons
them?
are people just have other things to do sometimes.
No, but that's not what you said earlier. Your reasons for wanting to extend
my
them.
reasons are irrelevant.
Well, no,
The
but you said
fact
them.
is, I've got 2 people
You said
who
them
are
in a-
interested that missed the deadline, and the deadline was pretty arbitrary. It was pretty short.
Stated.
It was stated the trucks weren't supposed to come into Greencastle too.
It's irrelevant.
Quite relevant.
So you want to
So-
appoint people who miss deadlines to a school board?
Well, no.
Well, did they miss?
Consider, but not necessarily appoint.
I think we have 5 amazing candidates.
Oh, I think we've got good candidates, but.
So you want your friends to have extra
We've got some other good
time.
people out there in the world that might have missed it, and
No.
let's give them a shot.
Your
I'm
friends.
asking for 14 days.
Lori, is this a council decision?
That's a council decision, there's no law about it,
Right.
this is all yours,
This is all our
That's all
arbitrary
I-
night deadline.
that's all your decision.
Well, then I'm gonna ask
If you
you.
really-
So
Where was this advertised for the 2.5 weeks? I mean,
It was advertised in the banner graphic. We had it on our website, Kathy, where else have we talked about it at the council
Council
meeting.
meeting last month.
We talked about it.
Is this a normal time that we give them every year?
Gene, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it normally 3 weeks? Is it normally a month? I don't know.
I don't remember, but it seems like it always gets down to the wire.
Yeah, it's always,
Time.
seems like we're usually up to Memorial Day time frame.
We need to have it done by
Because then we meet
July
in
1st.
June,
But we
and
like,
we
I wanna have it
appoint
done
at our
early.
June meeting, so that they can be ready to go in June, at the July meeting. I think one time we even appointed somebody, we had interviews, and it got so late, that our meeting was, we either scheduled our council meeting was prior to the July meeting, so we appointed them, and there wasn't somebody in that position for 9 days or whatever, until whatever. I think we even push it that close. Usually we meet, and sometimes we'll have a special session late in June to make the appointment.
I think that's sufficient time.
So,
Well, I'm going to make a motion.
Before we move forward, no. Councilman Maston.
Discussion after the motion, don't
Okay.
worry. Yeah, we'll have discussion
I
after
make
the
a
motion. So you're making a
I
motion?
make the motion that we just extend the deadline to the 24th. And
24th.
publicize that.
24th of
May.
24th of May. Yes, excuse me, 24th of May.
and when was the deadline?
May 3rd.
May 3rd? So, okay, so
We have a
that's
motion, do we have a second, and then we'll discuss it?
second.
Okay, we have a second? Okay.
Councilman Maston, I've been very patient this year with you having side conversations inappropriately with other members of this council. And I will ask you, before I ask someone else, for you to say exactly.
There are no side conversations that I've had with other than.
You did
individual
today.
members. Individual members.
With 4 members privately,
When?
right here.
Well, you overheard it, so you must have been included.
Did anyone else hear their conversation in a public meeting? I'm tired of it. And if you're not going to say what you said, I'm going to say it for
I've
you.
got an issue. Okay. I'll say-
What is your issue?
Well, my issue is, first of all, we have other people in the community who are interested.
That's not what you
in
said.
the deadline. Secondly, I will tell you, I don't think there is very much diversity of
Say what you said.
viewpoint, ideology.
It's not
I
what
don't think there is in those 5 people.
That's not what you said.
Well,
Say
I
what
read
you
through them very
said.
Carefully.
Say the words you said, Councilman.
Political or as well.
So you want to make this political so your friends have extra time to vote. That is ridiculous, and I'm not going to let you do that.
Well, then stop me. Get 4 votes against
I
it.
hope I do.
Well, we have
I hope
a
I
motion and
do.
a second.
And I hope it puts a stop to you
I call
constantly doing this. You've been on council
I
before.
have never sat and done anything that violates the open door law.
That is not true.
Okay, do we have any other
And I-
comments before we put it to a vote? Yes, Brian.
So I just want to make sure this is clear that the people who cared enough to pay enough attention to meet the deadline, but because other people didn't have a high enough priority for the school, that we're now going to change the rules.
I'll concede that, but that's not really the rule, okay?
It was printed in black and white. I don't know how
It
you want to
was.
say,
Well-
kind of like saying, I have a mortgage payment, but I guess I don't really. I mean,
I don't think that's a good analogy.
Joel, did you
However,
have a comment, Joe?
Yeah, and because I'm not well versed at all in city council rules, but the 2 things that just stand out as a casual observer is that if there was a printed deadline, as a community member, I don't feel comfortable with the precedent of a printed deadline being changed. I think that sets a really bad precedent. I mean, do we move when we get to when voting deadlines are for we just have primary conclude? Do we get to change that at some point? I just don't think that's a very good precedent for the council to set. If nothing else, just the optics. And I do have to, and I sincerely mean this as a question. Is part of the application process, is the intention to have a partisan balance? Because I think that's what I'm hearing from Dave. I just want to make sure I understand.
it's not necessarily a partisan balance. It's having a balance of viewpoints
Did we
as much
did
as
we-
anything.
Did we
Okay.
ask the people on the form that the application they completed to include what party? So how do we know?
It's not a
what-
party thing as such. It's really not a party thing as such, okay?
So-
I read the resumes. There are outstanding qualifications here, okay? But that doesn't mean those are the only 5. And all I'm asking for is to extend this arbitrary deadline that was kind of tossed out. And
I think the motivation was the thing that just made me uncomfortable. If the motivation was that, if I can finish, if the motivation was we don't have qualified candidates, as a community member, I would feel much more comfortable with that. If the motivation was that we don't have candidates that we agree with from a political or ideological perspective, to me that's a really muddy water to get into.
Well, it is, and I really don't know a couple of these people.
And Joe, we never asked political
No, we don't.
background.
I don't know. I mean, I would understand if maybe there was a case to be made that we want to have balance, and okay, that's fine. But I just would want that.
Yeah, and
to be
some
clear.
boards require that. This one
Brian,
doesn't.
please comment, and then we'll call the question.
Yeah, I'm just curious how Dave knows all of our views and how he's pigeonholing all of us into the same category. He doesn't know us all that well, so I don't know how you know that we don't have a vast array of views.
Well,
There are. It's a diverse group.
it's, really, it comes down to me having discussed this with a couple of people who didn't get their applications in on time. Are they going to be appointed? Not necessarily, okay? But, if we're trying to open things up and get as many people involved in things as we can, which we hear all the time, then it's all I'm asking. I'm not saying, hey guys, this is the person.
Okay.
You might be the person.
We also just heard that nepotism and politics are causing the issues that people spoke about. This is absurd.
Okay, we
This
have
is
a
absurd.
motion and a second. Are we ready to vote? Any other comments before we vote? Yes, dear.
Mark and I have been around this block for a long time, and I don't remember us ever not finding good people every time people came in and put their applications in a timely way, and we had the ability to ferret through those and select someone who we all comfortably felt was the right person to represent this city council. I don't understand why all of a sudden it's not okay to keep to our deadlines and to move forward the way we have for decades.
Good. Thank you, Sue. Appreciate your input. And I, for one, was thrilled that we got 5 good candidates in. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are we done discussing? Okay.
Question.
All those in favor of extending the deadline to the 24th, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Okay. So Dave's the only one? Okay. All right, we're going to keep the 5 that we have and move forward and hopefully set up interviews the first week in June. So, good. Okay, moving on. No, we're still doing council reports.
Yeah,
Kathy, we're on to you.
I just talked about mine a little bit when Chris was up there, I'm so proud of our police department. They need a new building. I'll just say that every month.
Dave, do you have anything else?
Had a planning commission meeting and was unable to attend the tech review this morning on another potential expansion. Been sitting with the planner and getting a good relationship there. So looking forward to further working on the comprehensive plan, particularly the zoning ordinance.
Tina?
I don't have anything to add.
Dennis?
Thank you, Council, for that past vote. I came into this meeting frustrated, and throughout the meeting I've been taking some notes, so I'm going to do my best to stick to them. When I joined this council, I was really looking forward to being in the thick of things, making decisions, having important chats, and helping shape the city. And I've got to say, I've been really frustrated. I've heard from a lot of folks around town who feel the same way. We've heard from them tonight, and every week I'm hearing from people from every ward that we need to be better communicators. I think even Councilman Maston will agree, we need to be better communicators. And if there's ever a single person who steps into this room and says they were not communicated with, that is their truth, and it is irresponsible for us to tell them otherwise. It takes all of us to keep our community informed and involved. It takes all of us to build trust. I I'll be the first to admit I don't always have all the answers, and I don't expect any one of us elected or appointed or hired to shoulder the whole burden for the city. But I'm asking all of us here today and all of you here in attendance, let's work on being better communicators. I never want to hear any of us say, you didn't look hard enough, that's on you. That's on us. We're elected to serve. And I'm not accusing anyone of not serving, but I think we can all, myself included, continue to improve. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate your comments. Mark, did you remember?
Yes, after I looked at the mayor's report, so I just wanted to comment that the sidewalk and repaving contracts, they're going out for bids, I should say, going out much earlier than in the past, which is, I think, very positive. So doing this work in the fall to early winter. It seems like we were always getting it one of the last things before they close the batch plants and everything else. So I'm glad that they put out much earlier than normal.
And even having to wait till the next year to finish it. So that,
Yes.
it's a huge difference and very much appreciated.
Yeah. So that was one thing that I caught, and I knew it was something in that report that I wanted to comment on. So that was it.
Okay, moving on to approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. Let's do the April 11th minutes first. Council had a chance to review them.
Move for adoption of the April 11th minutes.
Thank you, Mark.
I second it.
Second, Tina. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving April 11th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we had a special session on March 12th with the redevelopment group, training with Thomas Pittman. We presented an overview of the role of redevelopment commissions and the duties of members. I thought it was a wonderful educational meeting. So a motion to approve the minutes from March 12th.
So moved.
Dennis, thank you.
Second.
Second, Mark. Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good, thank you. Okay, approval of claims, Mark.
All right. Reviewed the claims earlier today, and we've got the payroll for this month is $558,767.22. Pensions, $18,783.72. The direct payables, $138,175.38, which is, oh, no, that's not right. Uh-oh. So that says that one. This page says 264,388.10.
Is there a second page? Is that the total?
That's grand.
That's the grand total. So I just change that, or do you need to change it? So, okay. I'll skip to the regular payables, if you can hand this down to Kayla. To the regular accounts payable. That does agree, $76,307.74, which is really very light. So some of the items there, we've got Ascension for the fire department with 2 perf physicals, I believe, and we do have one firefighter who we discovered about a year into his, after he became part-time to full-time, that we've been withholding FICA taxes in that year. I think he still stays with that year. Should have not been paying FICA tax for about the last year. So that's being refunded to him, and unfortunately for the Caleb card, she has a line of 941 X's to create and send them W2C, correct W2, correct W3. The firefighter does not affect his tax line, but it does affect what Michaela does. So it goes back to April of last year. So that's $4,310. There's 678 the Conway Shield, 2 white fire helmets. Spent $1,096 at DC Superior at the park for a grinder pit outside the park office. I don't know what a grinder pit is, but it's
for wastewater.
Oh, okay.
It grows it up and makes it small, so it's easier to.
Okay. I don't know why we have one at the park office, but sure. I guess there must be. Oh, okay, for the restrooms. Okay. I was just thinking about it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that explanation. Yeah, 75, yes, $7,500 to Eco Landscape for all the new landscaping out here around City Hall. And shrubbery and perennials, they all are perennials and shrubs. We've got $5,620 for our annual software and training on our run reports for the fire department to ESO. We've got 20 yards of topsoil and compost. I think some of it went to the cemetery, and some of it is, we're getting a wonderful smell as we walk by City Hall. So, there was also an $800, I found this interesting, there was an $800 reimbursement to the FSSA Administrative Services for a reimbursement for the cemetery department for a payment received for the Shelbyville Forest Park Cemetery.
That was a fun, time-consuming.
Yes, so another time-consuming thing was, went to the wrong Forest Park Cemetery. And got 3 vehicles that were repaired at Hendershots for $3,801. 16 Ford, which was almost $3,000. So that one's getting up there in age. And, maybe it's just ordinary repairs, but it is getting up there in age. We've got $1,000 Indiana Association Chiefs of Police for police training. 2 people going to there for $500 a piece. And the MS4 conference for $150, and another $50 for membership for planning. Got to get used to Keystone. Who's Keystone? That's the new fuel supplier with the merger of Alliance and whatever.
We're both abstaining.
And we have Police One Academy annual fee for 21 firefighters for $1,873 to Lexipol LLC. Traffic signal annual maintenance agreement for $7,476 to Midwestern Electric. Maybe they can fix this traffic light out here. That's not ours though. So never mind. So $1,500 to Polaro's Martial Arts for training mats, I believe, grappling mats at the police department. And $2,259 for 10 batteries for the 8,000 radios, the Series 8,000 radios for the fire department. An aqua chair for Recreonics for $2,500 to $2,750. I think that's for a handicapped chair, I believe. Some sort of pool chemicals for $7,416 to get the pool open to Spear Corporation. And Wilson Photography for some 20 department portraits for the police department. So, do we have that, Megan?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the first column total.
Oh, okay.
So I updated it, initialed it with the grand total.
When I saw it, I thought, that doesn't sound right. And I looked at it, it's not that. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Can I say while you're getting that handed to you that our landscape, our landscape people are here and we are paying for plants, but they are volunteering all their time. And it looks great. And
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It may not smell great, but it will.
No, I think it's going great. I like that stuff.
Yeah, you guys have done a great job.
Yes.
With all the native plants that you have out there. It's going to be beautiful once it fills in.
Yeah, after a few years and get some growth. And
thank
yeah,
you.
It'll really fill in nicely and everything else. So it's really good. We appreciate the donation of the services very much so. On the direct payables, they total $264,388.10. We've got $5,600 to AIM for 2024 annual dues. We've got a whole bunch of complaints to Alliance Civil Engineering. We've got Locust Street for January, and again, a Locust Street inspector, and a Locust Street for February. Those are $8,790, $1,170, and $2,227. This is a project that was done before the end of the year, I think, for the most part, but we're still getting billed. A line for January general services for January that was $1,733, for February $12,840, and for April $19,441. I guess we've already paid March. You got Roban Phase 2 for $7,676, which is ongoing. Campus Link Trail for $3,700, and a few others. I don't know what they all total, but it's a lot of money. There's a lot of services there too, but I wanted to comment on those. We've got $39,010 to Business Info System, which is a 50% deposit on our streaming service and software related, I believe, is what I was told. And DC construction for $23,429 for our 2023 street resurfacing, so we're still paying on some of our 23 street resurfacing. We've also got some community center construction administration for $4,050 to Elevatus Architecture, I probably butchered that. Indiana Department of Transportation on Locust Street, again, $26,242. Keystone Fuel, okay, I get used to that anyway. Here's a 23 sidewalk bill for Owl Creek Construction for $33,538 a quarter. So we're still seeing a lot of 23 bills coming in and everything else getting paid for. Anyway, with those descriptions and commentary, I would, I'll somebody else make the motion to approve. But the grand total of all four of those together, thank you, I forgot to mention, $792,034.06.
Thank you, Mark.
I move that we adopt the plans as presented.
Thank you, Dave. We have a motion. A second? Second, Kathy. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstention over there. Sorry, almost missed that.
Every month.
Every month.
Okay, moving on to old business. Michaela says we had the wrong number on something we voted on, right?
Yes, we ended up with duplicate resolution number 2024-2. The first resolution, 2024-2, that we approved on March 14th meeting was regarding the capital improvement plan for CEDAT. The second resolution, 2024-2, that we approved was the resolution purchasing surplus rescue fire truck in the city of Greencastle that was approved at the April 11th meeting. So we will update resolution number, well, the second one that we approved to resolution number 2024-4 because last month we had a 3.
Do we need to vote on it again and sign it again?
We need to vote on it, but
Just not on changing it.
Yeah, we don't get to sign it, nothing's changing other than the number.
We just need it in the minutes that you approved the change.
From what to what? What are we?
from 2024-2 to 2024-4.
Okay, I'll make the motion we change the ordinance number from 2024-2 to 2024-4 that we voted on last meeting. Correct. Have a second? Second, Mark.
The easiest vote we're gonna have.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? That makes sense. Okay, on to the business.
And we're gonna sandwich in 2024-4. No, this is an ordinance. Yeah, this is an
Ordinance.
Yeah.
Ordinance number 2024-03, an ordinance amending the Greencastle planning and zoning ordinance by amending the zoning map. I understand I need to go ahead and read this, and then we'll have Scott come up and answer questions, and we have other folks in the back, so I'm going to go ahead and read this. Whereas the Plan Commission of the City of Greencastle has prepared this ordinance to amend the Greencastle planning and zoning ordinance by amending the zoning map, and whereas the Greencastle Plan Commission has reported that it held a public meeting concerning this ordinance on April 22nd, 2024, after timely notice of the hearing was given by publication in the Banner Graphic, Greencastle, Indiana, on or before April 12, 2024. Whereas the Greencastle Plan Commission has reported that it paid reasonable regard to the following factors enumerated in I-C 36-7-4-603 in consideration of the ordinance and determination of a recommendation to be made to the Common Council. Number 1, the comprehensive plan. Number 2, current conditions and the character of current structures and uses in each district. Number 3, the most desirable use for which the land in which each district is adapted. Number 4, the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction. And 5, responsible growth and development. And 6, the public health, safety, and welfare. Whereas the Greencastle Plan Commission has certified the ordinance to the Common Council with a recommendation by a majority vote in favor of adoption. And whereas the Common Council has considered the recommendation of the Greencastle Planning Commission and has paid reasonable regard to the factors enumerated in I-C 36-7-4-603 before acting on this ordinance, and whereas the Common Council has determined that this ordinance should be adopted without amendment as certified by the Greencastle Planning Commission. Now therefore be it ordained and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, that the City of Greencastle zoning map and the City of Greencastle code is hereby amended by changing the zoning classification for the following described real estate from SD2 to GB1 in accordance with IC 36-7-4-614. The property at 209 West Liberty, Greencastle, Indiana, and more particularly described as follows: a part of the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter of section 16.
You don't need to read the.
Mark says I can skip the legal description. This ordinance shall have full force and be effective upon passage. The clerk treasurer of the City of Greencastle shall have this ordinance published by inserting a copy of the ordinance in each of the 2 sets of City of Greencastle code maintained on file for public inspection in the office of the clerk treasurer. Passed and adopted by the City Council on this day of 2024 in signature lines. Scott, take it away.
And what she was not reading was the legal description, so it is 409.
Which was in the,
209 West Liberty, and it's about 4.08 acres.
Jones School.
Jones School, commonly known as Jones School.
so basically, rezoning follows Greencastle zoning ordinance 12.5 for zoning map amendments, discussing the fact that the Planning Commission holds the public hearing as mentioned in the ordinance that was held April 22nd with all the 3 planning commissioners in attendance. It was also a public hearing as tonight's meeting is. There were 3 members of the public present who spoke about the petition. The commission did vote for a favorable recommendation. That means that the next thing is the Planning Commission provides certification to City Council with that recommendation. City Council shall hold a public hearing and vote on the proposed rezoning ordinance within 90 days of certification. So that's just the procedural aspect that we're following this evening. You did have in your packet all of the background information that was received by the Planning Commission as well. But at this point, I would like to turn it over to the representatives, Putnam County Attorney Jim Hensley, County Commissioner Rick Woodall, and Putnam County Director of Building and Planning, Lisa Zion.
Like Scott said, I'm Lisa Ziner, the Putnam County Planning Director. So this is to rezone the Jones School site. That parcel was originally zoned GB1 prior to 2017, and the Jones School was demolished in 2023. We believe that the request is consistent to the current conditions and character of the structures and the use, because the properties to the east are already zoned GB1, the properties to the west are SD2, I believe, and the properties to the south are zoned TN, and then the properties to the north are a combination of SD2 and GB1. We're just putting it back into what it was originally zoned. This will allow for the construction of an annex for the government offices. We believe it's a good buffer between the residential and the commercial areas, much like the school was. The new building will add value to the surrounding properties, whereas the old dilapidated building was not only an eyesore, but it was also a deterrent for buying and selling homes in the area. The construction of the annex building will allow for all or most of the county offices to be in one place, freeing up the other buildings in the area that the county currently rents to be used for other businesses. And it will also save the taxpayers money by not having us to pay rent in other places. So, any questions?
The courthouse will probably be just for legal matters things.
Correct. The courts will stay, the clerk's office will stay, all the courts, probation,
Prosecutor's
prosecutor's
office.
office, all of those will stay. Basically the third floor and part of the second floor, and the first floor. So 4 offices on the second floor and everybody on the 4th floor will be moved, as well as the health department, which is currently in the hospital.
Title 40, Title 40, for extension.
Title 40 out east.
Maybe even a space for the township trustee.
Okay. And there'll be some room to grow, I assume.
And then-
in the building, too.
So, this is step number 1. Of course, everybody knows that, the county's been talking about an annex for 20 years, or since the other one was closed down. So we have decided the courthouse is getting older every year. There are starting to be more cracks in the walls. So it is time to take weight off. So the plan is to use this, if possible, to build a building. We have done a space study that recommends somewhere in the area of 28,000 square feet, which tells us commissioners we need to build about 32,000 or more square feet. It would probably be multi-level. We have 0 design. Basically what we've decided to do is, this is step 1, because if this doesn't get rezoned, then nothing else matters. So before we spend, once we did the space study, before we spend any more money, we want to make sure that this is going to get rezoned. And then if it does, we will move forward with trying to get a design. If this is approved tonight, we have a timeline of finding we have an annex committee of council commissioners and Jim and a couple others that we will, and the auditor, put together a plan to present to the commissioners and the council. We're going to do this as a joint, so everybody's on the same page from the start, because we don't want to mess it up. We feel that a timeline is, if we can get the train moving, we can get some people under contract, hopefully put out to bid in the December to February range, which will let out somewhere in the spring with who builds it and all that good happy stuff, for lack of a better term. And then hopefully within a year and a half, it will be complete. 2 years to the max. So that's kind of the synopsis yeah. Questions? Good stuff.
It's great. Plan commission decision was unanimous.
So, I mean, you're going back to what it used to be, it adjoins GD1.
Yeah, I will, because I'm not smart enough not to be quiet, but full disclosure of everything. We have had interest from the vet clinic in Putnam Inn that would like to purchase any land that we may not use. Okay? We do not have any idea how much land we're going to use, nor where the building will be or anything. We're going to have to do all kinds of borings and stuff to figure out where all the lines are, sewers, electric, the best fit for everything. So when I say we're at step 1, we literally are at step 1. So
And the other thing is, there was lots of, at the plan commission meeting, there was lots of comments and concerns. There is, right now, it's used by kids to play there, and there's ball dining and a couple basketball goals. And
I will say the Parks Department has already hit us up to ask about it.
We will be too.
So,
Good at it.
do you have any unused?
The other thing that would be nice would be there'll be required parking lots, we need so many spaces and so.
Correct.
More than that, parking, I
We
hope.
will have to go through all of that. So,
Having been on this committee way back when, amen.
When you get dark hair, right?
Yeah, dark hair, yeah.
we, so yeah, that's it in a nutshell. And if this all goes through, the parking meter lady uptown may not be as busy.
No.
I think that the departments that we wish were moving to the, I'm not gonna say anything, are not moving.
David, you're on the Flag Commission.
Well,
Okay,
I was gonna ask Scott if you had anything else to add, if you're finished. Yeah, Planning Commission.
I like Rick, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, so.
We went through the whole thing. So we had the neighbors a couple of neighbors who were concerned about traffic. Obviously, the traffic is going to be less than what it was when Jones School was there, and school let out or came in.
Right.
And they used to pick up take up.
One of the questions they asked about, and I don't know if any of them are here tonight or
I don't
not.
think they are.
But one of the concerns they had was where the entrances and stuff were gonna be, and that's one of those.
Yes, to be determined.
Well, it is to be determined,
It is.
but as the county representative of the commissioners, we are more than happy to sit down with all the neighbors.
Those are all going to be site development plans that we'll hash out.
And talk about their concerns. There's zero issues with
Yeah,
that, so.
there's a long way to go from here to there, but the Plan Commission's responsibility was to look at the 6 points, and it was unanimous. So, I'm happy to make the motion to adopt ordinance number 2024-03 as presented.
Thank you, Dave. We have a motion from Dave. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Daryl. Any more discussion? Any more questions?
Lori, I have a relationship with the business relationship. Do I have to abstain from this?
What?
The county?
Yes.
Okay.
I would.
Yeah, it's fine.
All those in favor of passing ordinance 2024-3, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Motion passes.
It wasn't unanimous.
For what it's worth. I liked it.
We will keep you up to date.
Great.
with the process of what's going on. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Get your hammer and nail.
Yeah.
We have one final piece of new business we need to discuss. Greencastle Economic Development Area Tax Increment Request. This comes to us every year at about this time, and the Redevelopment Commission is requesting that we capture 100% of the available assessed value. We've done this for, I think, the last 8 or 9 years. Lori, any comments, anything to add, any?
Nope, we were, for a long time, we did not capture 100%, and we were one of maybe 2 in this state who didn't. And then
We were losing money. We didn't know where it was going.
And then about 6, yeah.
Well, we kind of knew where it was going. Back then, we really thought that we would take a little pressure off of the schools, but, well, the school has changed, their funding sources have changed a lot. That's why they float bonds, because that still goes on as a levy, but,
Right, it's very different funds.
and that kind of falls under the category of no good deed goes unpunished as well, so, do we need a motion on this, or is this just pro
Yeah,
forma?
you have to approve that.
I so move.
Daryl first,
Second.
second from Mark. Any other discussion?
So where do we sign?
Signature line.
Erica will sign.
Okay, so we're just
We're
agreeing
just
to it.
approved, yeah.
Yeah, approving it.
All
Okay.
right, sounds good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I have one more quick thing I'd like to talk about. School board interviews. Can you look at your calendars for the first week of June? I would love to see if we could maybe find 2 nights that work. Right now, we have 5 candidates to interview. I don't know if those candidates will all be available on the same night, so.
Which nights?
Which weeks?
I
Oh, first week of June is what I was thinking.
So I'm Monday and Tuesday I'm available. I have to leave town Wednesday through the weekend, unfortunately.
Okay, so it sounds like
I'm
the
out
third.
of town Monday and Tuesday, but I can come back early on at a retreat from Tony.
I've gone till Thursday that week.
Well, the second week.
What about the week of the 10th? I've got vacation Bible school, so I don't know if I'm going to have that conversation that I'm going to have, but, yeah.
What day is the June council meeting?
Huh?
What day is the June council meeting?
June council meeting is the 13th. What about Monday the 10th and Tuesday the 11th?
Fine with me.
Or the
Thursday before.
Run it up the
We'll
flagpole,
get some in
see what
before then, if everybody's available.
That might be far enough ahead, we can adjust calendar.
10th and 11th, at this point, I mean, and we may not have all of us, it'd be great if we can have all of us, but if we can get 6 of us, 10th and 11th,
Does that sound good?
It should work.
I'll work it out, don't worry. That's what husbands are for, to go and take my place. So good, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna read, if it's all right with council, I'm gonna reach out to all 5 of our candidates. You all have their information, if you can take a look at it, start thinking about possible questions. We've done this before, but a lot of you have not been here when we've done it before. Normally, we ask the same questions to everyone, but sometimes when we have an incumbent, we ask, an additional question or a different question. So I'll be reaching out to all of you between now and then to kind of get your thoughts on questions. So just mark your calendars. We'll earmark those days. Again, I'll reach out to folks and I'll send an email and let you know if they look good for the 10th and the 11th.
Okay. Are we talking like probably 6 o'clock now? Forward?
Something like that.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other business?
I'm moving, be adjourned.
A second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Tina. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's go home. Thank you, everybody, for attending.